You am having a good old listen to the CineMerts Podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson. You am having a good old listen to the CineMerts Podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson. You am having a good old listen to the CineMerts Podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson. You am having a good old listen to the CineMerts Podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson. You am having a good old listen to the CineMerts Podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson. You am having a good old listen to the CineMerts Podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson. You am having a good old listen to the CineMerts Podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson. You am having a good old listen to the CineMerts Podcast with Max Coulson and Levi Johnson.
Oh, this is really fucking stupid. This might be terrible. If it's terrible, tell me and I'll do a different one.
Cool.
Alright, Merts, this is the CineMerts Podcast. We're a couple of guys who like films. We're going to watch some films. We watched a film. We're going to talk about a film because we like films. Films. That's all I got.
I can get with that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm totally down with that. Like, watched a good film, actually. I'm pretty happy about it.
Alright, yeah, the film we watched was Coffee, 1973, I think. Did I write that down? I didn't write that down. I think it was 1973 film, directed by Jack Hill. Your first viewing of any of those films, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd literally never seen it. I knew about Pam Grier. I knew she was an absolute legend. Heard about her from Snoop Dogg passing out when he met her. So I was like, okay, this person must be at least somewhat decent. Let me check her out. And yeah, that movie's good.
Yeah. It's not actually the best known of those films. I think the best known one is probably Foxy Brown.
Oh yeah.
But I had to pick one, and they're basically the same movie. Coffee was made first, and it has a slightly lower budget. Plot-wise, there's very little difference between the two. Like, you can almost view Foxy Brown as just like a slightly bigger budget remake of Coffee.
Kind of like how Drunken Master is a slightly better budget remake of Snake and the Eagle Shadow, right, with Jackie Chan?
Yeah, more or less.
Because they even got the same actors and everything.
Yeah. The difference is, I think you disagree with me on this. I prefer Drunken Master.
Oh, Drunken Master. Oh, mate, but Snake and the Eagle Shadow, bro. Like with the cat claws and there's cat sound effects. That's the one.
I mean, they're both good movies. Like,
oh yeah, no doubt.
And with this, I prefer Coffee over Foxy Brown. Obviously, you can't judge because you haven't seen it. But I you know, figured I needed to pick one.
That's fair. Like, all I know is I'll watch Foxy Brown next if it's anything like this film.
Yeah, they're very, very similar. It's basically the one thing that Foxy Brown has over this film is that Foxy Brown has a full-on bar brawl in like a lesbian bar with like butch lesbians, and it's like the best shit ever. Like, they're fucking like hitting chairs over each other's heads and shit, and it's like a Western bar brawl.
Awesome.
In a lesbian bar.
Wait, that's kind of crazy because they have like a chick fight in this film in Coffee, right?
Yeah. That's like a lesbian, like that lesbian pimp. That's kind of like.
Oh yeah, actually, I forgot about that one. I was thinking about the hooker fight.
Oh shit! Yeah. There's a couple. Yeah.
Pam Grier rocks the best Jamaican accent. Oh, Americans are so bad at Jamaican accents. It's painful.
I'm actually going to get into that later. But I actually have a sort of headcanon that actually makes that even more amazing. But over, like, let's just start, like, sort of generally. It was your first time seeing it. So, what were your general sort of like views on the film? Like, just as a movie.
I thought it was really good. And yeah, I'm going to be that guy. It's kind of like a section of cinema I feel needs to come back.
Mm.
There was a really fun balance between realism and it just being really fake at the same time. There was, like the fight stuff was way more realistic. But, like the scenarios and everything else, you're like, well, that kind of probably wouldn't happen. But at the same time, it's a movie, so
Yeah.
Most movies wouldn't happen if you watch them. So it was great, like watching those two things like play off each other, and you're going like, yeah, you know what? I can't complain because most modern movies, it's the fights where it's like you can't punch someone out in like one hit and then they're just knocked out for 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was cool to see just a new set of limitations in writing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think the fact that Coffee isn't this like super adept fighter in general also adds a massive element to it, because it means that she kind of has to think her way out of pretty much any problem that she's thrown into.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. It's something. It's definitely a crutch that a lot of filmmakers use now, in that because they can have this big expensive choreography. They kind of forget that, hey, maybe it kind of works better to have your characters be vulnerable.
Yeah, right. That's one of the things I really liked, was the fact that it's like, hey, she's not really a fighter. Like, she's willing to fight because, she wants to stay alive and she wants to get revenge. But yeah, like that's not clearly not her skill set. So she does other stuff to get the advantage. And yeah, I like it. It's fun watching them get their way around and stuff like that. Like, and here's the other thing I thought that was kind of something that you don't see anymore. There was boobs in a movie, and holy crap, this isn't a porno. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
like I forgot that's just gone. Like, nudity is like near enough gone, unless it's in some type of horror film, I guess.
Yeah,
or an art movie.
I mean, I would definitely like to see like a balance between movies like that and modern movies, because obviously the flip side to that is, yeah, there are boobs in it, although there does seem to be a rule of let's get boobs into this movie by any means necessary, i.e. every single altercation usually results in someone having their tits out.
Yeah. Like,
it does get a bit silly at certain points.
Some bits I felt were silly, but then other bits I then kind of went, wow, you know what? That's really dark because it's probably real. Which is, there was like a weirdness to it. Like, I don't know if you want to start into like spoilers or anything like that. Like, but there's no reservation on spoilers whatsoever. I'll put up a just spoiler warning thing on the screen, like just from the beginning. Like, this is a spoiler-filled thing. Cool.
I feel like these sorts of movies, they're not so intricate plot-wise that you can really ruin them with spoilers in that way.
Yeah.
They're more experiences than anything than this super in-depth. It's not like there's any big twists that you can't see a mile off anyway. But yeah, anyway, say what you were going to say.
So that bit where they break in and they beat up Coffee and like a quote-unquote boyfriend, he wasn't her boyfriend, but kind of boyfriend. And then, like, as they beat him up, like, they beat him up and then they start beating her up. And then while she's on the floor, they just, right, the guy runs over and kind of just tears her shirt open. Which I was like, cool, they just wanted to get boobs in. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? That's awful, because that's probably, if you're like just some mugger who's mugging some people, like a guy and a girl, like together or whatever, and you want to like just fuck them up, kind of ruin their life and make them feel awful, you'd probably do that. Like, you're like, oh, we got to get out of here real quick, but like, yeah, just do this last thing to put insult in the wound. Like, yeah, I was like, shit, this is weird how it's really cheap, but at the same time, kind of powerful.
Yeah, that one in particular, I think, because as well, it's not. It's a weird thing, right? Because Pam Grier is a like very, very good looking woman, and she's good looking in this. But in that scene, it is not titillating.
Yes, right.
It's hard to look at, like, and I think that's definitely by design.
Yeah. Look.
The other times that you see like shirts rip open, a lot of the times it's pure camp. Like, I mean, one of the silliest examples of that is probably actually during the hooker fight, because it's like, you really needed like a contrivance to get tits in a scene set in what's effectively a brothel.
Yeah, right.
Like you could just have tits. It wouldn't be weird.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say that little restaurant scene. Well, there's a strip club scene, isn't there?
Yeah.
Where like the chick, she takes photos of somebody, and that guy kind of jumps her as well, and it happens again where the guy kind of was like, "Show me your tits."
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, and yeah,
that's less effective.
It was less effective, definitely, but at the same time, it was still like, for me, I was like, yeah, I think it still has a level of realism, because he's pointing a gun at this chick, and then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna see your tits or whatever. I'm like, yeah, shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's as effective as the original scene. The first one, I actually genuinely felt like really bad. The other one, I was like, oh yeah, I see what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. That's more just to hammer home that this is a bad guy. It's more about him rather than how it's impacting the character, because the character isn't really a character, you know what I mean? It's not like Coffee, who obviously, she's the title fucking character. She's...
Yeah.
And actually pretty deep as a character as well. Like, she's not... I think it's really easy to use revenge as a crutch. That means that you don't have to really write much of a character. And I'm speaking personally as a writer here, because for anyone listening who doesn't know this, me and Levi, we worked on a movie that ended up not happening, that I wrote.
Yeah.
And
which was centered around revenge.
Yeah, and I will admit the character was nowhere near that sort of strong, because it was just basically revenge was the single motivator. And actually rewatching this, I did think about that, because this character, like, of Coffee, she has this life that you see that she's still having to live while she's going through this revenge mission.
Yeah.
Like, that you see her, like, when she goes back to the hospital and she's shook up. And it says that she's meant to be in surgery. And
yeah. Like,
yeah.
I like that, the fact that, she wants to get revenge, because I felt as well for a revenge story. It was kind of unique. It was pretty good. She's like, hey, my little sister got addicted to drugs, so I'm just going to kill these drug dealers, man. I don't care. But I like the fact that she did it, and then, the next scene you see her trying to live her life, and she's like, I fucking killed people.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And she's literally shook up about it. That's, again, something you don't see in modern movies anymore. People just kill people really casually and they're not bothered.
Yeah, especially juxtaposed to just how brutally those first two murders happen. Like, she shot one guy straight in the face, and then she makes the second guy OD.
Yeah.
Which actually at first seems like a random cruel act, until it kind of adds up that, it's even sort of mentioned by the cop, that they think that the junkie killed the dealer, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
So she made him OD to look like it was
the
junkie that did it. There's always this plan there that's...
Yeah, which I was genuinely impressed by. I was like, that's pretty smart. Again, that's a nice bit of writing to show she's thought about this. She's not an idiot.
Yeah. It doesn't oversell it either. I feel like a lot of, Hollywood movies would have had an entire scene setting that up. Like, they would have that plan, really hammered out, how she came up with it, where in this, nothing. That's the first scene.
Yes, that's actually the really cool bit. Like, it's literally right in the... this opening scene. She's just doing it. No planning, no, I'm going to do this. It's happening when the movie starts.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting. I like playing role-playing games, and that can even go to real-life, live-action role-playing games. And the fun thing in that is, not necessarily just selecting a character who's got, I'm just going to fight everyone, I'm going to do this thing. Picking, a niche set of skills. And the way Pam Grier's character is written is she has a niche set of skills. So, like I was saying earlier, we were talking, she's not the best fighter, but she has something, which is she's an attractive young woman. So although again, this is where it becomes: is it like being a crutch or is it clever writing? Where it's like, oh, how is she going to infiltrate this this place? Hey, if I just pretend that I am a strung out junkie who will do anything with my dealer, I can get close to him. So that's what she does. And I was like, you know what? It means that there's always a guaranteed use of like the skill set of like, oh yeah, how can I get close to this guy? I'm going to use this. And then you go, is this about to get really like sleazy? Is it? And just before it does, she's like, yeah, now I've got a gun on this guy. So I feel like, oh, every time there's just before it kind of veers away, just before it gets too sleazy, for me anyway, I didn't think it got too sleazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the closest it gets to that is the bit where they shoot her up with the smack and Sid Haig takes her to fuck her under that bridge.
Yeah.
And then like just as it's about to get like really bad, she just fucking stabs him in the face, or in the throat,
right in the neck.
She just yeah. You know what's weird about that scene? It always kind of weirdly reminded me of RoboCop. You know when the guy gets the toxic waste on him, and like all this shit's going on around him, and like he's like begging to be helped by his own guys, and they're just like, "Fuck you!" Like we're going our own way. Those scenes always really mesh together for me.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good observation, man. Like I didn't even make that, but once you said it, yeah, perfectly. I can totally see that.
Another RoboCop connection, of course, is that King George is the police sergeant.
Oh!
From all three RoboCop movies, actually.
Oh, damn. Huh.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. No, I know these people who died in this movie were all bad people, but I felt really bad for King George, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I was like...
Right?
I was like,
he gets it the worst.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if he deserves to go out like that.
Yeah. Especially because he's nowhere near as bad as the white gangsters. Like that gang of... where are they meant to be from?
I'm not sure.
But those guys are way worse. Like, the shit they do in that movie is just shown to be way worse. They're like, you know, the leader of the gang is, like, abusive. He gets off on, like, abusing, like, black women, clearly, but also, like, anyone who he thinks is foreign.
Yeah, he's just like, I want someone exotic. Let me degrade these women. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, man. This is messed up.
And then when they... And if anyone hasn't seen it, and I do suggest seeing it, but, like, anyone who hasn't seen it, with King George, they fucking lynch him.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, like, they wrap a fucking rope around his neck and drive with him, like, hanging off the back of the car. He gets it so fucking bad.
Yeah, and he had no idea. He was like, no, but seriously though, why are you doing this? Like, I was like, oh man. Like, if he had his own power play and he was kind of betraying them, like, I wouldn't have felt so bad, but, like, the fact that he's just like, hey guys, I totally hooked you up, and then they, like, kill him.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's one of the worst.
Yeah, that one I was like, geez, I feel really bad.
By the way, talking of King George, can we talk about the fucking music in this movie?
Yeah.
Like, it's so rare to see a movie where characters get fucking theme songs.
Yeah, and not a title character? Like, because when I heard they were like, King George, I was like, wait a minute. Is this like Shaft? Because last time I heard a character have their own song, it's like Shaft, man.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, obviously Coffee gets sort of...
Yeah,
there's the main theme, which is that coffee is the colour. Which, by the way, yeah, make it more on the nose. Like, there's that one, but then there's also, like, Coffee Baby that plays later. But, like, yeah, no, the King George theme is fucking beautiful. It's great. I fucking love it. Like, that's it does really like ends up going into some sort of Black Dynamite territory.
Yeah.
once you get into that theme, like, you half expect like the lyrics to start, you know, the song to actually start like explaining the story.
One of the things I was kind of shocked. I'm going a little bit back, but it's still related to King George. It just made me think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked how the fact they're like, yeah, we're gonna like OD coffee like they did. This is back when that gangster was gonna try and fuck coffee under the bridge. They're like, yeah, we're gonna inject her, but she previously swapped the drugs for sugar in like another scene to try and just fuck with everything. Like, obviously she had no ideas that she's about to be injected with those drugs. She was just like, yeah, I'm just going to try and fuck with her. I thought they were going to go with he tries to sell it to someone and he dies and like you trying to rip me off? That's how I was expecting it.
Yeah.
So when it came back around like that, and I was like, oh, so all she has to do is pretend that she's getting high. Like, so it is one of those things where I was like, this is like a Chekhov's gun kind of movie where it's like, hey,
yeah,
we set something up and it's gonna be paid off like at some point in the movie.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about it, because I think it's very easy to look at a movie like this and think of it as this just kind of campy thing, but it's very tightly written. The dialogue seems very mundane, but everything is very important to the plot.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like visually and stylistically, it's clearly a huge influence on Tarantino, but like that's the big difference, is that Tarantino's dialogue is almost all irrelevant.
Yeah.
But in this movie, it doesn't feel like exposition. It never feels like a character's just expositing information. Maybe a couple of scenes, but that's when they're literally dumping information for coffee. You like the woman whose face was all busted up that she tried to get information on King George from.
Yeah. So that's information that Coffee wouldn't know, so it's not like pointless exposition.
Yeah. That actually reminds me that, I said earlier about the accent, the Jamaican accent. So, here's what happens in my headcanon. Now, for the record, there is no way this was intentional. But my personal headcanon is that within the context of the movie, it's also a bad accent. But King George knows, because he just knows girls pull this shit, so they could, because some guys like the exotic thing, and he knows his customers do. So like he's just going along with it, and just no one's actually telling her how shit her accent is, because they're just like humoring her.
They're like, she looks good enough, like it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like the punters like that shit, because like they literally do. I mean, there's the guy she intentionally did the accent and everything for is into exotic girls. Yeah. And, like, yeah, I kind of like the idea that everyone knows she's faking it. Like I said, no way that's intentional, but it's in my headcanon. It's hard to even call it really an attempt at a Jamaican accent, to be honest. Because she mostly just talks how she normally talks.
Yeah, except she says man.
Yeah, that's literally it. Like,
she's like, let me tell you, man. It's
pretty great. Like, Americans just can't do Jamaican accents. It's really weird, because they're right fucking next to each other. You'd think that...
What's the best one? Is it one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? And she's like, Jack Sparrow did not know what him want. You're like, oh God.
Oh God. I forgot about that.
Like, this is like, oh God, yeah. All right.
Oh man.
You guys are terrible at these.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the one thing that I kind of don't like about the movie.
Okay. And
that's the twist, if you can call it a twist. That guy she's fucking... the city council guy, what the fuck's his name? Howard?
I don't know.
It's Howard. That he is like involved in the gangs and the criminal activity and everything. It feels like a really unnecessary tacked on thing.
The thing for me is more the fact that it's like I did have to think for a while. I was like, is Coffee actually dating this guy, or is she just pretending? Like I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah.
And then I found it quite hard to believe that, they were properly in love, because I was like, yeah, but you actually had good chemistry with, your cop boyfriend, so,
Yeah, it's a really weird thing. It's treated like a booty call.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time. Yeah, it's not handled very well.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's also weirdly confused messaging at one point, because there's the whole thing where he's talking about the nature of the drug game and how basically it's engineered to keep the black man down, if you like. And it's weird because that seems to be the film's message, but it comes from a villain who is in on it. So it's like...
Yeah.
It's a weird way of going about it. I'm not necessarily opposed to that level of, I guess, nuance. It's just, because the character in every other regard is so not nuanced, it feels odd. And it feels like it's undermining its own message.
Yeah.
When it didn't have to have that message. It didn't have to undermine it. You know what I mean? It's...
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels very strange to me. I don't feel like it was intentionally trying to undermine anything. I think it was just a weird sort of narrative hiccup.
Yeah, a little bit. I liked the fact that, he almost Max Charisma'd his way out of the situation. And then, somehow the stupidest woman in the world just ruined everything. And got him killed at the end of the movie. That was quite funny for me. I like that. I like the fact that, again, showing that your character is vulnerable. Coffee being persuaded by, her boyfriend, hey, I'm not a bad guy. I was never trying to screw you over. I just had to do what needed to be done. We can still make this work. And then she kind of starts to give in to that. I think that's a pretty nice bit of writing there, where it's yeah, she's still human. Yeah, she's killed these people. At the end of this, she is kind of like a warrior by the end, where you're like, holy shit, man, she's taken out basically everyone.
Yeah.
And then to show right at the last hurdle, she almost falters. Holy crap, man, she's still vulnerable. I felt that was really good. The only thing I just found was, I was it's just not earned enough. I don't believe these two are properly in a relationship.
I think you worded it perfectly there. It's not earned. Also, I do love that the guy fucking basically kills himself, though. Well, it's not what you think. I thought you were dead. Yeah, that's gonna win her over. Stupidest thing you could possibly say in that situation.
Yeah.
I thought they'd killed you on my orders.
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious. I couldn't believe that. I also enjoyed the fact that, for me, I was you're telling me this chick couldn't hear all this discussion and yelling going on downstairs, and then she's going to be like, what's going on, baby? You're really? You're not going to be I hear a lot of talking. Let me just... Okay, there's a gun. I'm just going to stay. I'm not going to move.
There's a lot of questions to be asked. This kind of makes it sound like it's a worse movie than it is. It is genuinely really good.
It's really good. If the only thing I would do, if I could, maybe somehow stitch the police officer and her senator boyfriend together. Because then it would feel completely earned.
Yeah.
100%. I'd go, oh yeah, this is really shit. Cause those two, I was man, they really get along. They really seem like a good couple, man. And then for him to have been I betrayed you the whole time. Shit. And him being a police officer, he kind of fits. He could still be in a position of power-ish to do stuff or something.
Yeah, and to be honest, it him being taken out of the movie through that the hit that's basically put on it. It feels unnecessary from a narrative standpoint. Don't get me wrong, I love the scene, But from a narrative standpoint, you could get rid of it. She's already on a revenge mission, right? Like, there's no...
Well,
it doesn't actually really add...
Nah, that actually, you know what? I'm gonna counter. In fact, it doesn't. It is important. Because the revenge mission was against that first dealer. And she got it. She was technically done. She was out of the game. And could go on with her life. But then they put a hit on her police officer boyfriend. Then, you know, he gets beaten up and shit and is basically like done in. So she then goes, I need to get revenge now for like my police officer boyfriend. But at the same time, it's still going to connect to getting revenge for her sister even still.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, no, that's a very good point.
I was like, yeah, I see what they did there. Like, because I remember thinking that and then going, oh wait, actually, that's why that's there.
Yeah.
But this is one of those instances where it's kind of like, hey, anyone can get fridged for the main character, man. Easiest thing, like, who's really close to the main character?
Yeah.
Kill them, so that then they want to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it handled so much worse in like other movies. It all does feel it does flow pretty well. It does feel powerful. I mean, it is powerful. And I suppose that it also helps to actually have some sort of motivator happen on screen. Because obviously, her initial revenge mission is something you're told about. I mean, granted, you do see her visit her sister, and that's a tough thing, but it is also very brief. Which I don't think is a negative. I think the movie's very well paced.
Yeah. Definitely.
And actually is one of the reasons I prefer it over Foxy Brown, in that Foxy Brown takes a lot more time establishing the whole revenge mission. Right. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I do kind of love how Coffee just sort of hits the ground running. What the fuck? I made a couple of notes while I was watching the movie just so I'd remember stuff. And I'm looking at them, and some of this shit is just ridiculous. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I literally just wrote Blaxploitation Denny.
Wait.
One part. Why I know what that was in reference to. I actually know what that was in reference to. That's the fucking junkie at the beginning who's like, I just want to get high and watch.
Yeah, I was... See, that was just what I was thinking. I was like, I remember the room. I remember there being the room like connected to the actual this thing, and there you go. That's where it was. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's... Yeah, I should never make notes when I'm watching movies because it's just the scrollings of a fucking madman.
No,
I must admit, because one thing I was originally planning to make a much bigger point of talking about until I realised that it's nowhere as prominent as I kind of expected is the Tarantino, the influence on Tarantino, which is definitely there. I mean, there is no doubt about it. Like, even weird things like the lack of establishing shots is something that definitely feels very Tarantino-esque. How movies, like, how the scenes just start in the room they're in. They don't take the time to, like, establish the building. There's very few established shots.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, I didn't even notice, really, until you said it. And I was like,
I wonder how much of that is due to budgetary constraints. Because obviously some of these were shot in sets. Some of them were very clearly redressed versions of the same sets. Like, most of the house sets looked pretty damn similar. I think there were maybe like 2 house sets they used, and they just kind of rejigged things around.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to do when you're making a low budget movie.
I've worked on a low budget movie, man, and they got us to, because they built a set, so they were like, we got bedroom scenes, so we would have to get these wooden boards and put them up on the actual the walls and screw them into place to change the setup of the room, and then would pull out the furniture from one room and pull in the other. Like, yeah, it was like a real thing. So.
Yeah, it's just the reality of having constraints, isn't it? You've got to work with what you've got. But I do wonder if that's the reason for a lot of those lacks of establishing shots. But at the same time, there's something that, again, it adds to this sort of... It's weird because it's a very flat movie in terms of how it's shot, but there's still this sort of frenetic energy to it.
Yeah.
It's always in motion. The film doesn't really slow down.
The thing I really liked, there seems to be a few, I guess, long takes. Like, with the police car, and that guy, after he's like, help, please, help me! And, you see them start the car, he starts driving the car, then he's like, help me!
Yeah.
Guy turns the car, drives it around, drives back past him, and drives away. Like, they just keep the camera rolling, like, the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's like, there would probably be, like, loads of different cuts. They'll cut to inside the car, and now he's steering, and you can see his face, and then you see the guy going, and then you see some more of the guy driving again. But I was like, yeah, the fact, I kind of appreciated the fact that was just captured footage of the car just driving away.
Yeah. Also, you would kind of think, if someone just told you that sort of reliance on long takes would cause the film to feel kind of stilted at times. And it really doesn't. Everything, like, it doesn't disrupt the flow in any way, which for me only goes to show just how well rehearsed a lot of it must have been. That they just were able to do that, because even with just dialogue, it's hard to get that right. So to have, like, these basically action sequences that are done in these, like, long takes, there's a lot of work goes into it.
Yeah. Look, like, when Pam was fighting the police car, that was there were quite some longer takes in there, and I'm like, Pam's just a lady, man. Like, she's just an actress doing bits, and then some guy's driving at her. There's not a stunt double in there. Like, and like, if you think about it now, there'll probably be so much red tape. It's like, I know you're not trying to run each other over, but you're driving the car at the actor. That's too dangerous. You can't do that. You need a stunt double for that. But they just drive the car at her, and
like, I'm not necessarily saying that addition of red tape is necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good that people shouldn't have to die or risk dying for making a film or even injuring themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these guys who acts like Kubrick movies are somehow made better by the fact that he treated his actors like shit. But this isn't anything on that level anyway. This is more okay, look, we've got no fucking money, so let's just make it work.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's something that should be done, but I can appreciate when it is done.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I can say, hey, I appreciate the fact that, Pam was like, let's get it done. I don't have a stunt double for this, so I'm just going to have to keep my eyes open and then move out of the way of this car.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, it's definitely scary, man, when you think about it. Like,
yeah. One interesting thing, I read some, talking about Pam Grier specifically, I did read some reviews that came out, like, at the time that the movie was released.
Oh, right, yeah.
Just to sort of see what the general consensus was. And actually, it got pretty good reviews, which sort of surprised me, because a lot of movies in this genre just never got good reviews. But the weird thing to me is that most of the reviews I saw, the thing that they didn't like about it was Pam Grier, which is...
Really?
Yeah, it's really odd to me. Now, the movie has a lot of good performances in it. This isn't, like, especially for a low-budget movie, the acting quality is pretty consistent throughout.
Oh, yeah.
There's never that feeling of, like oh, God, now we've got the community theatre actors coming in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And that's usually, I mean, I don't even bring that up as a complaint about low-budget movies, because it's just such a standard crutch that these films end up having. But this doesn't have any of that. But, like... I wouldn't say Pam Grier is by any means a weak performance. Like, her performance is amazing in it.
Yeah. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, granted, sometimes the dialogue can be a little stilted, but that's mostly because of the long takes. Which means that everything has this kind of theatre quality to it, where nobody's able to talk over each other, or lines can't overlap in any way, so there are these kind of slight gaps to everything.
Yeah.
But that's just a limitation of how it's shot, and it's weird to single out one actor in it for that, when everyone kind of has to give those slightly stilted performances for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
But no, it is a really odd thing that I noticed from a lot of those reviews.
Yeah, I don't see it. Like, aside from the Jamaican accent,
Yeah.
like that I've got no complaints whatsoever. I liked everything else that she did.
And like I say, every performance, like even like the hookers and everything, and everyone like that, and like, you know, just the tiny bit parts are all pretty fucking solid.
Yeah. Like, I actually spent a little bit of time looking around at the backgrounds and seeing what the extras were doing, and they were good. I was genuinely impressed by looking at it, like having done a tiny bit of stuff being an extra.
Yeah, same.
It can be challenging when it's like, oh yeah, we need to, you know, have a conversation, but not look like shit and not get really bored and not say anything though, but look like we're responding and, you know, to something that's being said. Like, yeah, there can be a bit of work goes in there, and when you get low budget movies, you know, you're going to get some low budget extras. So when I looked and I was like, no one's doing a shit job.
Yeah, there's never those moments where, people are just sort of stood there not really knowing what they're meant to be doing. And that is, I think, mostly a sign of a really good director. Like, you know what I mean? They were all... It was obviously made clear to everyone what they were supposed to be doing. You know, where they were supposed to be at any one time, but they clearly weren't micromanaged either. It was just like, no, like, just...
Yeah.
Here's guidelines, which is what you do with extras. Like, the worst thing you can do, I think, on a set is to micromanage your extras, because then everyone moves like robots.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's more concerned about where they have to be for the shot composition than they are about what they're supposed to be doing, and it all goes to shit. I've been on sets like that.
Nice.
But yeah, it's, in general, a lot of the smaller elements that are generally the downfalls of low-budget movies are kind of not really there for this. Like sound design. Usually sound design in these sort of movies is weak, you know what I mean? Like, it's long periods of basically silence, and every punch, every, like, smashed bottle is this ludicrous thing that it barely resembles the sound it's supposed to be, you know what I mean? I'm so used to hearing that. Or, like, the generic sounds that are on a record that, you know, these sound effect records. So it'd be, like, this generic bottle smash, this generic punch, and none of it sounds like that. Yeah, no, in general, the sound design, though, is really, really on point. And really, the reason, the way you can tell that, because obviously a lot of people don't think about things like sound design, if it's bad, you know.
Yes, definitely.
If it's good, you're not thinking about it.
Yep. Yeah, you only know, you can only see it when it's bad. Like, that's it. Otherwise, it goes unnoticed. It is definitely a thing.
Probably getting close to wrapping up on this. So, sort of general stuff. I mean, I know you're not as versed in the sort of the genre in general, as much as Blaxploitation is a genre, as I am, because you're not quite the nerd that I am.
No, like, what was it?
But like
Shaft.
Yeah, you've seen all the Shafts though, right?
I saw Shaft, watched Shaft 2, didn't like it, so I didn't watch Shaft 3. I've got it. I own it. My friend bought it for me. The box set. And
I'd be lying if I said it was really all that worth watching.
Yeah. I've seen...
Really, I'd say just, like, watch the first one and the 2 remakes. Well, I say remakes, they're kind of sequels,
yeah.
But you know what I mean. The Samuel L. Jackson ones, both of them.
Yeah. I've seen the second Samuel Jackson one. I'll want to go back and watch the first one now.
The first one's really good. It's, like, different. It's very different. It's really gritty, sort of, grounded sort of movie. It's really odd that Samuel L. Jackson's playing the same character in the Netflix Shaft, because they feel like such different
Totally
characters.
different movie. It's like, is this the same franchise?
Yeah, it's the franchise has had a lot of changes over the years. Anyway, so in terms of though with Coffee and it's sort of standing within a genre, I think it is definitely a real standout. Like Jack Hill did a lot of these movies, and his movies were always the best. Whether we're talking about his like women in prison movies or his like, you know, on the street blaxploitation films, you know, they were all good. I think Coffee's the best of the bunch with those, and I'm gonna say, like, compared to say Shaft, since that's the only sort of movie in the genre you really know, I'm gonna say Coffee's a much better movie. Very different, but I genuinely, I think I feel like it had more to say. I don't just mean in terms of messaging, although that's true, but just as a movie, narratively speaking. Shaft is a very important film.
Yeah, like...
you know what I mean? It's massively important, but speaking as a movie rather than as a piece of history.
See, yeah, like, I'm finding it it's hard to decide, because Coffee definitely is trying to make a statement about, you know, a situation in life that is happening to, like, a section of people. And Shaft is a little different. It's not really talking about what's happening. It's kind of this could be like the potential almost, like a potential for black characters as a whole in general. So I find that to, that's a tough call, because I like both of the movies. And Shaft has got the Shaft theme song, which is amazing. So I might have to leave it on that side.
Coffee has the King George theme song.
Yeah, I know.
The main message we're trying to get across with this is more movies need theme songs for characters.
Oh, yeah.
Like with lyrics, with the character's name repeated frequently.
Which is ironic, because I think one of the latest movies, it's not necessarily a theme song, but Superbad.
Yeah,
because they pull out the funk singer, and he's back, and look, he's singing, and he's like, "McLovin, baby," you know, like, yes,
yeah,
Superbad. That, or the main character needs to start making their own song, like Will Smith did. For like the Men in Black.
All that, yeah.
In all of his movies.
That's some shit that couldn't happen now.
I know.
Like not in a major Hollywood movie, you know what I mean? No movie studio, no studio would ever sign off on that. Well, you can tell that from, when they made Men in Black 3, going back to that one, was like, you know, they got, who was it, Pitbull?
Ugh. Why Pitbull?
Yeah, because, like, Will Smith's in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything good for years, but he's still better than Pitbull. Like,
yeah. Like, goddamn.
Fucking, I mean, Nod Your Head was not a good song, but it's better than anything Pitbull would come out with.
Hey man, everyone's allowed like one or two bad ones.
Nod Your Head was bad though. Like, I think it wouldn't be so bad were it not for the fact that the first Men in Black movie had such a good theme song.
Yeah, that's the kind of problem. You can't really compare. And my main thoughts were, no, that is the Men in Black's theme song. That you can't do another one. It's just over now. Like, you just play that theme song again.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you want to do a serious trailer for a Men in Black movie, you've got to have, like, some girl indie singer do, like, a slowed down piano version of it for the trailer.
Oh, God. Mate, that sounds amazing. Dude, the worst thing is, because I saw the Bel Air trailer where they made, like, a gritty Bel Air kind of trailer.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they basically do that in that. And I was like, oh, my God, yeah, that'd be so good. But we should track back. We're deviating out of the rabbit holes. We can do this for hours.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I think, to be honest, I think we're more or less done. I think, given how much we just derailed, then I think that's probably a good time to call it.
All I can say is I definitely rate this movie. I hate numbers because how do you do that? That doesn't really make any sense.
Oh yeah. Man.
But I would definitely give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It's
probably higher for me. It'd probably be like a 9 to 9.5 for me.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a movie that's shot on a home video camera. Is never going to be on an objective level as well put together as a movie that has like 12 editors and a fucking,
Yeah, I hear you.
Fucking full-size studio and, professional grade equipment. So everything that I do when it comes to ratings is completely graded by its budget because there is still within that an objective framework to work from.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and I still think numbers are stupid, but I still think it's a more fair way of doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Mine, I'm kind of just encompassing all movies. I like to believe that all my reviews are completely biased because they don't make sense otherwise.
Yeah, obviously.
Yep. But I am really harsh. So where most people will say an average movie is a 7, I'll say an average movie is a 5.
Oh yeah, I'm exactly the same there.
So when because most people are like 5, you're saying it's really bad. I'm like, no, I'm saying it's average. So when I say an 8, that actually compared to other reviewers who were saying 8, then I guess if you scaled it to someone else, I'm putting it in a 9 or some kind of other area like that. So yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah,
definitely worth a watch, and it's on Netflix. So
yeah, or at least in the UK. And if you live in the UK and you like the movie or want to watch the movie on Netflix, watch it multiple times because Netflix is shit, and if you don't keep watching shit on it, they will get rid of it.
Yeah.
So just, I don't even care if you don't like it, because I like it. So you should put it on and just have it on mute.
Yeah, in the background.
Just maybe 3 or 4 times a day. Just make it one of the most popular films on there, so they never get rid of it. I mean, I know I've got it on DVD, but if I watch it on DVD, I've got to like open up my thing of DVDs and like go over to. Okay, I mean it's C and it is alphabetical, so it's pretty early on. But still, I'm lazy.
Yeah, no one's got
right.
time for that.
I don't want to have to get onto my knees to get over to the shelf that I keep my DVD container thing on. I just want to fucking hit some buttons and not have to move. So, in the spirit of that, watch Coffee.
Yeah, I'm going to completely second that. And I also feel like saying, could you imagine if we could get it to like the most watch list or something?
Yeah, and I feel like we definitely have that influence.
Could you imagine that? Like, they're like, we brought out all these new movies. Look at all these Netflix originals that we've got. And then everyone's like, yeah, we're watching 1973's like Coffee. Like, that would just be awesome. Like, I would just love that. That would make me really happy.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Coffee, #1 rated movie on Netflix. Let's do it. Okay, I've got to come up with a sign-off tag now. Ian Beale.
What? Beale.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording now.